Man, you know what the best thing about having brotherhood is? You get to spend time with your brothers. Tonight, Remcast is coming at you from the worldwide headquarters of Primal Faith, baby. And tonight we get to spend some time with our man in the Free State, Claymore. The man, the myth, the legend. I'm Primal. I'm glad you're with us. We'll be right back. Hit it! Hey everybody, Primal coming at you with my man Claymore tonight from the Free State. What's up, Big Daddy?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, bro. I've been looking forward to this, and man, like we were just talking about, I think it's important that we kind of spend a little time getting to know each other. Obviously, the vision thing kind of threw us off big time this year. Did you make it to? Did you go to Zanesville?
I did. It was awesome. Really had a good time.
Very good.
It
Very
was it
good.
was like a breath of it was like a breath of fresh air. Probably about a third of the club was there, so a lot of catching up. It was good. It was exciting. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of
Good.
fun.
Very good. So, man, one of the reasons that that I wanted to talk to you tonight mostly is because since I run the show, I wanted to, so I get to do what I want. Uh, the next is, man, me and you have had such good conversations since Vision last year. It's kind of like when we first started talking. And, man, I just kind of dig your story. I dig the whole thing. So let's just do some informational stuff, get the stuff out of the way. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh my. I wasn't expecting that question, but okay.
Well, let me
No,
let's
I
make
wasn't
it
quite
let's make it a little simpler. Tell me how long you've been with the club.
simpler. There you go. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Now, uh, let me give you a little background on that. I met Les back in 2013 at Central City. They were doing the Thunder in the
Thunder
Valley.
in the Valley,
Sam
baby.
Childers was having his event, and I ran into him. It was either 2013 or 2014. I'm lying to you. It was 2014, the summer of 2014. Uh, my wife and I and a ministry that I was leading, we did a big fundraiser for Sam Childers, and we went up during that Thunder in the Valley thing to take the money to him. And when I pulled into the parking lot there at the bike shop, Remnant Sons had the bike shop. They had the parking lot filled up. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I started talking to people and meet people. I met Les, I met Eclipse, and we hit it off right away. And me and Les, we exchanged numbers, and it was hilarious because out of a clear blue sky one day, I get this call from a number I didn't recognize, and it's like pick up the phone. It's like Johnny, and we hit it off. I think the first conversation we had lasted more than an hour, hour and a half, and over the next couple of years, we talk a lot. At least monthly and sometimes weekly. And a lot of guys say God brought them to the club, but I think God had Les bring me to the club. Les kind of recruited me. It took a little while. There was a lot of stuff that had to happen, but
Sure.
I actually patched into this club uh, 4 years ago Friday. This coming Friday it'll be 4
Nice.
years. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. March the 5th, 2017. Patched into this club.
Okay. So I remember very clearly that 2014 was my last year in Pennsylvania. So when we left Thunder in the Valley and we went back we were living outside of Du Bois, Pennsylvania, and we went back home. We packed up our stuff and left Pennsylvania that weekend.
Oh my.
Yeah, because we were moving back to Florida, uh, and that was our last gig in PA. So we've been down in Florida ever since. So I remember that. I remember that weekend very well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. The wife and I, we went on the ride, with Machine Gun Preacher and the club, and
Right.
that was great. Enjoyed that. Yeah.
Now, so here's an interesting fact that most people don't remember about that weekend, but I think that was the weekend that we had somebody jump on somebody else's bike by mistake and without telling them, and took it on that ride, and somebody thought their bike got stolen. That was as funniest thing as I've ever seen.
Now I never heard a thing
Yeah,
about that.
the brother, was freaking out because somebody stole his bike, and it wasn't like it was just he thought the guy knew. The guy thought that he knew that he was taking his bike, but he didn't. And it took about an
Well,
hour.
here's an interesting fact about that ride. Most people don't know. I was still recovering from an accident I had in 2011, and I literally had to lift my right hand up with my left hand to get it on the bar. And once I got it up there, I had to leave it up there because I could not raise it on its own.
Oh, that's
And
encouraging. That's
I
encouraging to
rode.
know that we could have been riding next to each other. That's awesome.
Hey, I rode that way all day. We only live 2 hours from there, so I rode
Okay.
up there. Went
So
on
you
the
didn't
ride
you
with
didn't
them.
stay in the like you guys didn't stay in the campground. You just rode up and
No,
okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no. We went up for the day and went back same day.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, so man, that's a lot of changes happened since you've been around though. A lot of things are getting better. A lot of people man, I dig some of the guys that you got in your chapters. I hadn't met them all, but like Cephas, for example. That brother contacted me, and turns out, and his pastor at the time was a guy that I had been discipling for like 5 flipping years.
Nice.
And when I first talked to Cephas, and had to, because I try to get a pastoral, if I'm talking to him, I try to get some kind of pastoral conversation going about, can somebody that's been around you spiritually give me some word about you? Because I'm not just going to take your word how awesome you are. That's a little scary sometimes. And so he told me,
Right?
he told me his pastor's name, and I'm like, are you like Josh Varner? Like I'm almost bald Josh Varner, my buddy? And he goes, yeah, man. And then I told him that I was part of that church, the main campus, for a long time. So it was cool. We had this connection, and we didn't even know it with his pastor, and that was just kind of cool. And I love that guy, man. Cephas is awesome. So
Yeah, he's an awesome brother. I named him Cephas for a reason. God laid that on my heart. You know who Cephas is. He's a rock.
man. Yeah.
He is. He's a rock. He's been through a lot. Since seems like every one of us in this chapter have been through a lot since we joined this club. But he's been unchanging. He's always got a real good upbeat attitude, and that don't mean he ain't been down a few
Sure.
times.
Sure.
But he tries to keep it positive, and regardless of the stuff that he's been through, he turns around real quick and is like, no, I'm not. This is who I am. This is what I've called. This is what I've been called to do,
Amen.
and I'm going to keep professing Christ. And I love it.
Amen.
I love it. He's a great brother to have.
That's good stuff, man. You got some good guys there, and I'm at of course he's a patch now, but when Disco was prospecting, that brother just showed up. I mean, just freaking showed up.
I was ready to kill him last year.
Him and his big self, and that, I'm gonna tell you something, man. We had so much fun with him up there in Georgia. He's fun to be around. All you guys, man, you got a good thing going there. I really do. I know you guys spend a lot of time together, and you do a lot of riding. You do a lot of events together, and it's just cool at the vibe that you have as a chapter.
I'm hugely blessed. I'm hugely blessed. I enjoy my brothers immensely. I tap into their attitude, their wisdom. I got a lot of smart guys around me, and they keep me on an even keel. Well, a little word about Disco though. I was ready to kill him last year because his life situation allowed him to go everywhere. I was jealous. I mean, he's up in Michigan one weekend, he's down in Georgia the next, and the rest of us are either working or on lockdown, and he's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It's just
all over the place.
Well, I think he said he did almost 20,000 miles last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I could be wrong on that number, but it was a lot. He put a lot of miles on that bike last year.
Here's what I've learned to know about men in this club. Man, if you can roll up and be confident in the Lord in a situation where you don't know nobody, you may know a couple of guys, but you just roll up in there on that disco ball bike he's got and just stand tall. like a
Right.
mofo. I mean, just standing up, man, and just
Yep.
enjoying it. I
Yeah.
thought this brother's going to be around for a long time. He's got a great heart, as all your guys do, man. And I appreciate that about what you got going on. You pour into him. That's a good thing, and it's evident. And people see that kind of stuff. People see that kind of stuff.
It took a couple of years to get him on board. I talked to him almost 2 years before he actually joined the club, and he
Mm,
just had too much on his plate. And
right.
I respect that. Anybody that says, "Hey, you know what? I got too much on my plate, and I can't commit to this," I respect a person for being honest about it. And saying, uh, I'd much rather have somebody tell me up front, I don't have the time. I can't make this kind of a commitment right now than somebody that comes and then can't do
Right.
do
Right.
what's required. And we don't push people that hard, but we get together almost every Wednesday. During the summer, we're very busy. We try to make, a lot of events. We try to support the community around us, and we got a huge community around us. A lot of different clubs, and we try to show up as much as we can. Now, fortunately, we have enough numbers now. Okay, these couple guys are going to go to this one this weekend. These couple, actually, we're dividing this weekend. We got two different things going on. So we got two guys going to the coalition meeting, and two guys going to take care of some other business out of
Nice.
state. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's cool, man.
yeah.
Well, bro, what I did. I don't want this to sound too bad, but Big Daddy Boss Man called you to kind of help out with some Virginia Beach stuff, man. Tell me how that was for you. Uh, I mean, and the cool thing is that you were close enough to be able to do it, and I like the fact that when we have it, that people can step in and assume and begin to rebuild. You know what I mean? That's a big
Sure,
deal.
sure.
That's a big deal. So the fact that was laid at your feet, tell me about that. How that is going.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It stretched me. It challenged me as a leader. It now there again, I've got a really good chapter with me, and my guys were huge in this. We went down to Virginia Beach for the food drive that they do down there every
Right,
year. And
right.
I don't know if we really want to be mentioning clubs,
Sure,
especially,
sure.
but to help them, to help our chapter regain some credibility in their area. And the majority of my chapter was able to go down and help out with this. We met with that chapter several months in a row down in Fredericksburg, the halfway point, and we did meetings with them, and basically like taught them what we know, what we know and what we do and how we do things. Uh, Now, I love my club. I love my brothers. The mess that was down there. Sometimes it happens. It's one one guy can cause a lot of problems,
Sure, sure.
and on a whole, it was one guy that really did a lot of damage to the remnant sons in general in that area with regards to protocol and the dominant club in that area. And it was just somebody with a big mouth that didn't know when to shut up, and now I think we've made great progress down in that area. We're identifying leaders.
There's some good guys
The
emerging.
chapters,
Yeah.
yes, yep. There's a pretty decent chapter now. I mean, pretty much all the original guys are gone, but there's a pretty decent chapter down there, and they're fully engaged in uh, they're very much into this club.
Good.
And not just the club, but they understand that first and foremost we're representing him.
Mm.
I mean, I think you said that. I think you said that one time. I was like, hey, who are we representing?
That's right.
What's that look like? Yeah, yeah. So we got to start there. But
Well, man, the reason I brought that up, and it's not to demean anybody, but what it does is that we're spread out all over the place, and if we have an opportunity when something goes south, and we have an opportunity to re-engage and reboot, to show up and to make things better, that shows the depth of leadership that we have. It shows the depth of concern and commitment, when it would just have been just as easy to kick some things to the curb, right? I mean, I think it's important to highlight those kind of things that, man, you ain't never got to feel like you got to do this alone. If you feel like you need help, we have folks and we have leaders, tested leaders, that can come alongside and help readjust, remind, and encourage to get back up on the bike and start it again. I think it's very important to do that, and I love that this is an example of our leadership trusting you and your leadership to be able to come alongside. And if I'm not mistaken, you're kind of passing some of that off to somebody else in your chapter now to kind of assume some leadership to help continue that, or are they on their own at this point?
No, I'm still supervising the
Okay.
whole
Okay.
thing. Now, G has been very helpful. There's been a couple times where I couldn't get away, where he
Is he
ran down
coming?
there and
Is he
took care of
coming to
some business.
Florida?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
We got a couple folks. They could be from Pittsburgh. We got a couple folks that are coming to Florida, and I just thought I heard.
I don't know. I'm about ready to bail out and
Pappy.
come
Are we
down
talking
there.
about Pappy G?
No.
Okay, that's
G.
what I thought. Okay.
Clarence Hurd.
Big
Clarence
Daddy.
Hurd.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Okay.
Yeah, Big
Okay.
Daddy.
Big
Yeah,
Daddy.
yeah. You know, there again, like I say, he there was a couple times where things needed to get done, and I wasn't able to get away, and he took care of some things. But no, I'm still supervising for
Okay.
right now, and it's kind of hands off. As a matter of fact, I have Derek as my guns,
Man,
as my point man down there.
I like that brother. I like him.
He's a great brother.
He
Got
is.
a great heart. I'm kind of doing like a hands-off kind of supervising thing. If he has questions, or if I start seeing something I don't like, I'll call him, or he'll call me if there's questions. I made him point man a little while back. He's been doing a great job. He stepped up, and he's doing the work.
Nice.
Love him. We're actually going down there. We're going to go down there this weekend and go over a few things and.
Very cool, man. So if he's point man, I need to get him on here. Let's I'll get to talk to him in the next few weeks. That'd be good.
Absolutely.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, he's a young guy too. I mean, some of us are getting a little old. We got to start bringing in some of them young guys.
Yeah.
I tell my guys here locally all the time. We go to a lot of events, and we're around a lot of 1%ers, right? And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing the old 1%ers sitting back, just watching everything that's going on, right? They're not doing officer stuff anymore. They're just sitting back watching what's going on, and I'm looking forward to that. I want to be one of them old guys sitting in the corner watching, and it's like giving people a hard time. And
I know, right?
It's like, hey, come here. You shouldn't be acting that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're getting ready. I mean, are you guys are you going to be able to make it to the Outer Banks? Or are you a little bit too far from that?
I don't. It's not that it's a distance issue. It's health issue.
Yeah. So I got a couple. We got two guys here. Of course, Punch is over on the other side of the state, and
right.
We have the state surrounded. I mean, we pretty much we've snuck up on Florida.
Yeah.
We've got it surrounded.
I saw that. I didn't realize you were so far south.
Yeah, man.
When I told you I wanted to come down for a visit, then I actually looked where you are. I was like, wow, he's way down there.
Yeah, we ain't in Jacksonville, bro.
Right?
I think we go through two nationalities by the time you get here.
Well, I mean, seriously, Jacksonville is halfway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's half the ride. Seriously.
Yeah. So anyway, me and Punch and our chapter essay. Punch is I'm gonna be interviewing him pretty soon. He is a outpost captain over across the state, and man, he's a great guy. I'm looking forward to even spending some more time with him. But me, him, and then my chapter essay Parks are gonna be running up to. Outer Banks, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. Nice. I got to keep up with them rascals because they run hard and run fast, and I'm like hanging on for dear life, because my old bones is getting brittle. I'm trying to hold on, and so that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I heard about your boy there, your essay. What's the name?
Parks.
Parks, right? Yeah, I heard about him. the word gets out.
Yeah,
I
man.
guess he ran blocker when they were down in Georgia,
He did. Him and
and he
him and
wasn't.
Punch both ran block, and man,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
superb,
yeah,
superb. Uh, yeah, Buck Wild. I
yeah,
like him. I mean, it'll be a lot of
yeah,
fun.
yeah. I heard they was hitting it hard.
I might have to leave a couple of days early, and they probably catch me by the time I get to Jacksonville.
Right, right. Well, I told Les, he said he was going down. I told him, I'm physically I can't ride that far. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I'm not even supposed to be on the bike. And I went to a funeral here, I don't know, a little over a month ago, and I only rode 20 miles. And by the time I got back, I was in so much pain. I was like, I ain't doing that again.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get this surgery over pretty soon. That's supposed to make a huge difference in what's going on in my shoulder. But anyway, I told the boss that if he needed somebody to drive support, I'll run up to Pittsburgh, grab his stuff, everybody else's stuff, and run down with him if I'm available. It's kind of falling into that timeline where hopefully
Sure.
we're going to be getting the surgery over with.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, I want to get it done. It's like summer's coming, man.
I know,
We got to
right?
get this thing fixed so I can get on the bike.
Well, it's been summer here for about 6 months. I don't know if y'all pick
Yeah,
up
I
on
heard
that.
about your foot of sunshine. I don't like you guys very much.
It's a hard knock life, brother. People don't understand how hard it is living in such good weather all the time.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I'm just I feel so bad for
Man,
you.
we got an elder in our church that called me and said, "Hey man, we got there's a big sale going on up here. I got you a leather jacket that's hid, like a real nice sheepskin, like $600 jacket. If you get up here, you can get it for $125. I went up there and bought that thing, and that was 3 years ago. And I wore it one time. I'm for real, wore it one time. Rest of the time it's just hoodie. But it's a nice jacket. Whenever I wear it, if I feel like I'm pretty fancy, but we get to
Right.
wear it. I mean, if that's the worst of my problems, you know what I mean, not being able to wear my jacket, I think I'm all right. So,
Yeah, I
man,
think you'll be all right.
let me ask you a couple questions about what do you think you've learned mostly about yourself as a leader, being a chapter president? Since you've been chapter president, what are the things you go, man? That's some good stuff right there.
Well, it's I think the question's kind of a little skewed with regards to what I've learned about myself. I think what I've learned about leadership
Hmm.
is,
Okay.
um, and somebody did one of them Facebook things, and it's like, leadership is about, basically don't be threatened by the guys around you,
Hmm.
right? Their skills, their what they bring to the table. Don't let that think differently. Uh, don't let that make you think differently about yourself or doubt yourself. I'm going around I'm going around the long way to get to the point, but the point, one of the biggest things I've learned is to not be intimidated by somebody else's skill set or what they bring to the table, but bring that to bear and use that in the best ways possible.
Right.
For instance, I moved G to three different positions before I found the right position for him, and I'll tell you right now, he's one of the best essays I think this club's got.
That's awesome.
Uh, he's a problem solver. He's real good with conflict resolution. Um, I had him as my chaplain first, and he was a great chaplain. But since I put him in an SA, it's made a huge difference.
Hmm.
And so,
But that kind of speaks to you, though, man, being patient enough with him to understand a little bit about his giftedness as it developed, I guess. Right?
sure.
I mean, that's a big thing. You got to recognize it.
Well, you got to recognize it, but it's I'm one of these people that kind of spent my whole life uh, got to do everything myself,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Especially as a mechanic, right? Somebody. There's been times where before I got hurt, people come over and say, "Hey, I just want to use your garage. I want to do the brake job." And I let them get about 5 minutes into it. It's like, get out of the way. you just, I got this. I'll do it. And uh, that's something I've had to learn as a leader. It's like, what, delegate, and whatever happens, happens.
right.
And if my brother does a great job, praise him. If he screws up, we are going to learn from it,
That's right.
right? And I may need to learn that this particular brother might be better suited for a different job. But um, there's a lot to be gained by just sitting back and saying, all right, this is yours. This is your job. You deal with it. And, like I say, praise him when it comes out right. Lift him up when it don't.
Right.
Like our creed says, if my brother fails, I will support him. And by doing that, by getting out of the way and saying, all right, you know what, this isn't my problem. Let this guy handle this job. Um, I think it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a
Okay.
lot of patience. It's taught me a lot of get out of the way kind of thing. Stop trying to control everything.
Okay.
Actually, you know what I mean. Kind of help with control issues by having to be. If that makes any sense at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I mean, I think that's important that we understand that leadership is a lot of kind of a multifaceted thing. Because the truth is, there's a lot of people who think they're leaders, but they look back and ain't nobody back there. They ain't leading anybody, right?
Right.
And I think
Sure.
leadership
Sure.
speaks to. It also speaks to the loyalty that it produces. I think what I've always loved about Les is he's a leader of men. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Man, our guys know him a little, know him a lot. They will follow him because he has that attitude, that magnetism that comes from clarity and confidence that we may fall down here in a couple of days, but for right now, we're going this way. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think
Sure.
that produces a lot of excitement. It produces a lot of loyalty and a lot of understanding. And I think nobody's looking for perfection when it comes to our leaders, but we are looking for passion. And man, we got passionate leaders in this club. Passionate
Oh
leaders.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
what
Yeah.
would you say? What would you say? This is a hard one, man, but I think you got to be able to talk to successes. What would you say has been probably the most difficult thing about being a leader in this club?
uh, well, I guess for me, actually, that's a real good question. I think I could speak to that pretty well. I think for me, my history, and I've got a really checkered history to say the least. So it's really hard to believe in myself. And uh, so, it's actually funny because it's kind of been part of my prayer focus over the last few months is like, stop letting other people's opinions or um, their issues, because I mean, a lot of people put their issues off on us,
Sure.
right? In the they may be pointing out what they perceive as a flaw, and it could be. I mean, you got to be honest, you got to be open minded. You may have a flaw, but stop allowing people to uh, drag you down or push you away or have less confidence, and I don't mean in a cocky way, but
Right.
just stop allowing, other people's negativity or issues, control issues, whatever it is. And, it's all around you all the time. Somebody sees you doing well and, the first thing they want to do is pee in your cornflakes,
Mm-hmm.
and for me to, have a little bit of confidence in myself and say, all right, you know what? No, I've always had a real bad habit of thinking more of others than myself with regards to their opinions, other people's opinion. And we don't want to go through life being arrogant, big headed or anything like that. But at the same time, we don't want to undervalue ourselves
Right.
either. I mean, that scripture says, love God, with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, and you've got to be able to love yourself. And it's something that I've always kind of struggled with, to a point. Uh, but one of the biggest things I've got out of this club is gain some confidence, um, and some good godly confidence. I was talking to Pastor Mary yesterday. I love her to death, and I was talking to her. I think one of the greatest gifts that the Lord has given me is some wisdom,
Mm.
some life experience, some wisdom, some ability to look at things and say, yeah, okay, that's not quite right. Or, we were talking about Paul, and, I've read a lot about Paul. He's one of my favorite characters to study. And, yeah, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but, I just feel like God has given me a certain amount of wisdom to um, uh, just see through the BS
Right.
or what have you, or
Brother,
uh, well, my Facebook profile says I'm a problem solver
okay.
at Mark's Equipment Service. I don't call myself a mechanic. I call myself a problem solver. And sometimes that solving that problem, right, is calling on my brothers. And I do this. I'll
Mm.
call on my brothers and say, hey, I'm stuck. I can't find an answer. And I got some great brothers around me, and I'm willing to listen to their advice. I don't always take it, but I'm willing to listen.
Well, bro, that's a good word because I'm thinking about my own chapter president, Wes, who came down, uh, man, when there was nothing down here, and
Right.
my man Chex poured into that brother and trained him properly to do the stuff that he does. And while numbers may have not been what he would prefer, man, that brother has got some juju, as Chex would call it. And
As Dix would call it. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
he has got
Yep.
juju down here with some of the clubs in the area that he. Some of them are going to church with him. Man, have been going to church with him for a while. I mean, and has a respect
Nice.
and because what I love about Wes, and again, I'm going to talk to him tomorrow night. I mean, he's a man of God, and he loves the Lord, and he's open, like to what you just saw. He's open to uh, having conversation about how we can do this, and that's what I appreciate about you, man. You got juju too. I mean, you got a good name in the club. It ain't like somebody says Claymore, everybody goes, "Oh, that brother." Uh, it's more like, yeah, that brother. You know what I mean? There's a difference in that,
Right.
and and
Hey,
and and I think we want that. We want to be able to live a life and develop a reputation among our brothers that brother right there. I know when it hits the fan, I can call him and he's going to be brutally honest with me. He may
right,
not
right.
say what I want him to say, but he's going to say what the Lord leads him to say, and that's a big
I try.
flipping deal today.
I try. Uh, a little side note about checks. Uh, he uh, he was. I was directly reporting to him when I first came into this club. He was supervising me.
He
I
rides
was
you
an
like a
outpost
mule, won't
captain. Oh boy, let me tell you what. I got burned up on a few phone calls, but you know what? I love him, and I appreciate, honestly, I appreciate everything he did for me. He got me where I needed to be, to be where I'm at now.
he? Yeah, yeah,
Without his input, without him being so hard on me, I never would have made it.
yeah, man.
And he didn't cut me no slack.
No,
I got a couple nasty phone calls from him, but
that brother rides you like a mule and tell you about it too.
ooh, uh, hey, but you know what? I mean, sometimes love is a kick in the pants.
It is.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to hear that, but
That's right.
it's the way it works sometimes.
And you know what, man? I mean, we're in a situation. I mean, we're not talking about the Lions Club here, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's some situations that some guys find themselves in that, man, you got to know how to handle yourself, and if you don't, it could get you in some serious trouble. And so,
big time.
the Lord has
Yeah,
brought people into this club, and Chex being one of them, during a time to where we needed that kind of hard nosed direction. That kind of saved. The truth is, kind of saved some stuff, right? I mean, it bought a different respect that we may not have. I'm not saying that the Lord wouldn't have bought that eventually, but He bought it at the right time through Him, and it's carried on. I really feel strongly about how God has brought those kind of leaders at the right time, and we still have them, and they're emerging now. It's like the guys I talked about this with the Eclipse this past weekend. On our last Remcast, leaders that are emerging that are just busting forth at the proper time, and without that kind of leadership, man, we find ourselves plateauing. But the Lord is not allowing that. So I dig that. I dig that.
right, right. Yeah, I think that's you mentioned plateauing, and I saw that we had a stagnant, and it wasn't this year, but I've seen a little bit of stagnance. Where we kind of like, like you say, we plateaued, but then took off again, and then
Hmm.
it's absolutely what you say. There's some really fine. I think each and every one of us in our own right are leaders, and that's what we're called to be. We're not always going to have, 5, 6, 20 guys around us. There's a lot of times where we go out on our own and do this stuff.
That's right.
And
That's right.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I got a phone
yeah.
call just yesterday, as a matter of fact, from a guy that I have not talked to in probably 7 to 8 years. I mean, we
Wow.
emailed each other a couple of times, but for whatever reason, man, this brother was going through a really difficult time, and Lord laid it on his heart. My name popped up, and he called, and it was just one of those moments to where you knew that I was supposed to talk to this dude today. I was supposed to say what God had obviously already prepared me to say, and it was one of those things to where it was it's a divine appointment, and I believe if we would allow ourselves the dignity of slowing down and listening, and patience and holiness. God will provide a lot more of those opportunities, and He's providing them now in the club, especially because of what's been going on in the last year, right? But
Yeah,
man, we
we all
can't.
had to slow down. We
Yeah,
all had to slow down over the last year. With my injury, it really slowed me down. I've been spending a lot of time. I've been reading extra.
yeah.
Way above what I normally do.
Amen.
I'm doing like 4 devotionals. A
Amen.
couple chapters in the Bible every day, and I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I don't like my physical situation, but I'm trying to take advantage of it as much as I can. I mean,
Amen.
there's days where I want to feel sorry for myself,
Sure.
and it's hard not to. I mean, I don't I don't do the medication they give me. They've given me a couple different ones, and every one of them is the same problem. It's affecting my stomach. Uh, and I'm not. I refuse opiates. I'm not doing that. You know my history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of running into somebody, I ran into a man when we did our last Warm Our Neighbors, and this is something we do November, December, January, and February here locally. We go out into the public. We give out coats, blankets, bag lunches, coffee, and stuff like that to the local homeless population. We typically wrap up about noon, and any leftover meals we have, we take them to this other church that's doing a similar thing,
Right.
and we leave that with them. Well, I took probably like a dozen bag lunches over to this other ministry. I'm like, hey, would you guys mind giving out these lunches? And the guy's looking at me. I didn't recognize him. He's like, John. I'm like, do I know you? And he pulled the mask down. And this is a guy that I met when I first got clean 30 years ago.
Wow.
And I haven't seen him in more than 10, 15 years. Um, uh, but like me and this guy had been to hundreds of meetings together. We went
Wow.
to NA conventions. We know each other's stories. We know each other's BS. We've called each other on our BS. We'll be sharing in a meeting. It's like, dude, you're not supposed to be talking like that. Or hey, call your sponsor.
Right. Right.
You know, and oh, what a blessing! What a huge blessing to actually run into somebody that knew me when I first got clean.
Man.
And then we had, he's like, hey, we got to have dinner. So I actually went to dinner with him and his home group. He still go. I don't really go to meetings like I used to. I do every once in a while,
Right.
but it's few and far between. I no longer identify as an addict. I have the disease of addiction, and it would be very easy to revisit that. But I'm a redeemed child of God, and he's freed me from that.
Mm.
I have no urge or compulsion to use, uh, but I went to dinner with him and his home group, and it was great. It was a
That's cool.
blast.
That is
Yeah,
really
some of
cool.
they've only got a few months clean, and they were pretty inspired. Here's two guys with almost 60 years of clean time
That is
between them.
so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's like, hey, it can happen. This can happen.
And
This
man,
does happen.
I just don't think that we realize the impact that we have on people just by being an honest, devoted son of God, uh, filled with the grace and mercy that God fills us with. And sometimes we don't hear about that or sense that till later on. But when we hear it, and uh, I'm not, obviously we don't look for pats on the back, but we
No,
do
no,
all want to
no.
make an impact for the kingdom. And I think if we
Sure.
can do that on motorcycles, or we can do it and having a guy call and say, hey, man, my dad's got brain cancer. He's got like 3 months to live, and I just needed to talk to you. And I
Yeah.
thought,
Right.
so we can't manufacture that kind of hope and that kind of moment to where the Lord has set up this specific conversation, because I know that Primal is going to say what I need him to say because I've been talking to him about it already. You know what I mean? And that right there
Right.
closes that gap between us and the people that we've left history with, that we have history with. I freaking
Sure.
love that about being a believer, man.
Right.
I
Right.
love that. And we do it all
Sure.
the time, not with just like tonight. And I know we're doing this tonight. Like the Bible study's going on right now on
Right. Yeah.
on the club page. And the cool thing about that is that man, we've been doing that on Tuesday nights for a while. It's just a cool thing to be a part of. That's a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
Well, listen, brother, I have enjoyed my time with you, as I usually do. Man, we've had some good conversations in the past, and I feel like this was a start to a couple more conversations we'll have. I think we're probably going to do some stuff on addiction, man. And I'm gonna hit you hard up for that, because I feel like 30 years, that's veteran stuff right there. That's like pro level stuff.
Well, I mean, there's probably people that could speak to it a little bit better than I can. God turned that switch off in me,
Mm.
and I mean, let me put it to you this way: walking away from the drugs was pretty easy. In retrospect, looking at what I saw other people go through, they're white knuckling
Right.
it. There was something. It took me a long time to put it together, honestly. I mean, I got to a point in my life where I was so miserable. I wanted to die. I literally did not want to be on this planet anymore, but I believed enough to know that that's not what God wanted me to do. One day I got so down. I tell people this all the time, and I don't think you can fully get it unless you've been there, but I've been to hell. I know what complete separation from God feels like.
Mm.
And the intensity and the just like utter hopelessness. I don't ever want to see anybody go there, but I hit my knees and I said, God, please, I don't want to live this way anymore.
Amen.
And it was just like he turned the switch off. I've been clean ever since. Now the challenge is to grow up and start acting like a human being, and stop being an animal. And I was an animal. I spent almost 20 years in my active addiction, and I didn't know how to deal with emotion. I didn't know how to deal with um, just general life in general.
That's
You
right.
know, and so I mean, I could tell you a lot of things that you shouldn't do when you get clean, and I would tell anybody that gets clean, you got to do at least 90 and 90. And what I mean by that is 90 days, you do 90 meetings, and when you get done with that, maybe you ought to consider doing the same thing for the rest of the year, because you've got to get it drilled into your head. That's over. It's done. You
Yeah.
pick up that stuff, you're going right back where you came from. When I came into it's changed a lot. It's not like it was when I came in, but when I actually went to one of my first meetings, I was blessed and fortunate. There were some old bikers there. And they're like, "Oh, this guy's ours." I come in, I'm going to a meeting on the motorcycle, all tattooed up, long hair, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's ours." But they used to say, "Work the steps or die, uh, mother effer."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they practically beat you up for not doing what you needed to do. So I was hugely blessed in that. But yeah, I would advise. I mean, I have some experience, but like I said, the majority of my experience was uh, just trying to live life on life's terms and grow up, get
Well,
rid of some of
obviously, I think somebody that has been delivered, that's a good story. So I'm looking forward to sharing that, talking to you about that in the coming months. Well, brother, I love you,
definitely
man.
delivered. All God. It's all Him.
Amen. Amen. I love you,
Amen.
brother, and I'm thankful for you. I appreciate the because the truth is, even though I know who you were, like we never really spent any time face to face. Most of our back and forth has been on the phone since last vision. Like I saw you there, I knew who you
Yeah.
were, but we never
Yeah.
really, except for. Matter of fact, I think when we first started talking, it was through a phone call, wasn't it, or an email
Yeah.
at first, and this was
Sure.
after Vision meeting a couple of years ago. So You never
Yeah.
know how relationships are going to form and how good they be. That's what I love about this brotherhood, is that um, each of us can scratch an itch that a brother has through a relationship, and it could mean the world just for moments, just for time to be able to be heard, time to be able to confess, repent, be encouraged, be challenged, all those kind of things that we do because we know that we're basically the same. We're basically the same,
That's
with the
right.
exception
That's
of
right.
the beard. Nobody is quite like
I don't
that.
have the patience, and I got the bald spots. I'm 60 years old, and I still got bald spots.
Yeah, what are you
I
gonna
give
do?
up.
Well, man, thanks for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to connecting with you sometime this summer, regardless of which event it is. But I'll be talking to you soon. Thanks a lot for joining us, man. Hey,
God
been
bless.
Primal and Claymore tonight with Remcast. Thanks for being here. Remember, the best thing about being in a brotherhood is spending time with your brothers. Go spend some time with some of them today. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bro.
Amen. Thank you.